Another way to get a recruiter's attention these days is through LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, especially if you're looking for a six-figure position, you have to be on that. I recently saw, like within the last month, I saw a stat that said 19% of recruiters and employers used LinkedIn exclusively in 2011 to look for candidates. It's a big deal. So how do you build a really great LinkedIn profile? Again, like I said, that's one of the things that my search firm does. You build, I've got this wonderful social media marketing director who is amazing, that builds a really great, robust online profile, gets people in, that pull marketing gets people coming to you rather than you having to go out to everyone. But if you don't have someone professional on your side and you're looking to build a really great profile, here's what you need to do. What I recommend, and this is just a really quick hit, I actually do have a whole hour that I've interviewed my social media guy, wonderful guy by the name of Will Gladhart, and I interviewed him with an hour of a webinar. So if you want to look him up, just look him up on YouTube, and he's also on my channel, and you can find a whole hour of how to build a LinkedIn site. But what I want you to do very quickly is do an advanced people search in LinkedIn. And the way that you do that is you go to your LinkedIn profile after you've set up at least a shell, and you go to the upper right-hand corner. You click on Advanced next to that people search field, and you put in the keywords of the type of job you're looking for. So pretend you're a recruiter or an employer that is looking for, and let's say you're director of operations. So you put in director of operations. You put in your zip code within 50 miles, so there's a little place for your zip code. And then if you have an industry in mind, and I would recommend putting out a target industry there, put the target industry in the keywords phrase, and then see what comes up. When you put in director of operations in construction industry, whatever industry you'd like, pull it up, see who comes up on the first page. Go to their profile, look at what they've put. What is it about their profile that has created the search criteria that they're on the first page? So look at number 1, number 2, number 3. What are the keywords they use? If those words apply to you, then add those to your profile. And if they have industry-specific jargon, verbiage, add that to your profile as well, if you're going for one industry. If you're not, if you are industry neutral, like most people are, then take out the jargon of what you have already. So if you came from the telecommunications industry, take out the telecommunications jargon, because it doesn't mean anything to recruiters or to employers that really are looking for somebody, that can fit into their organization and isn't just a telecom guy. Okay? Now, that's what I want to say about, we're at the bottom of the hour, so that's the published sector. Now remember, that published sector it comprises about 15 to 50% of all available jobs at any one time. Okay? So at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to take a drink of water. Just a moment. All right. Now, before we talk about the unpublished market, I want to first give you a plug to give you the ability to get more free information from me if you're in the Kansas City area. Again, this is free. It's a live training that I do for the New Landings Nonprofit Job Club Association or organization. These workshops are held on the first Thursday of every month. The next one is Thursday, April 5th. It's called a Resume Reboot Workshop, and it's a 2-hour live event that I give you immediate access to. When you register, I give you immediate access to the manual, and we go through that. Again, it's free, but you have to register ahead of time because you have to bring the manual with you. In order to sign up for that, you can either go to my website, which is careerresumeconsulting.com, and you'll find a link there, or you can go directly to the registration page, which is resumerebootworkshop.eventbrite.com, and that will take you there. I am starting to advertise this on the radio this week, so please register soon. I know that the total number of people that we can have is about 23, and I believe right now we've got 15 signed up. So if you, and since I'm advertising this on the radio, it's probably going to fill up pretty soon. If you want to completely redo your resume from scratch using my techniques, I will show you how to do that. And again, it's free. And before we get into the published market, let me see really quickly if we have any questions. Okay. We don't have any questions. Let me look to see. Nope. I think we're good. Excellent. All right. Let's talk about the unpublished job market, which is exactly why you're on the call, right? Some people call this the hidden market. These are jobs that you really can't view easily, hence the term hidden. But getting to them is a very effective strategy. And I would say a majority of my clients that do receive jobs quickly have found them, started them within 10 weeks because they found them in this hidden market. So this information is very important. So let me just spend a second to explain why employers don't post them publicly, because I do hear from other people that, or maybe job seekers or other career people, well, there really isn't such thing as a hidden job market. That's bull hockey. There really is. I'll explain why. If the system is broke, for instance, if I'm posting something on Career Builder or even on my website, I'll get 600 to 1,000 resumes for every position that I post. That's outrageous. Now, if I am, like I said, Garmin or Cerner or Sprint, some of the really big companies out there, I've got a huge HR staff to go through those, but even with those, they don't look at all of them. In fact, I had the head of the St. Luke's Health System tell me that they received 150,000 resumes in 12 months, and this was back the end of last year that she told me this. They don't have time to look through 150,000 resumes. It's broken. It's broken. And so the easier thing to do is to start, if I'm an employer, if I'm a decision maker, and I need somebody, especially at a six-figure level, I know that if I post something out there, everybody who wants to make six figures, everybody that has made six figures, and everybody from the United States that's willing to move to, wherever I'm at is going to post for this. It will be overwhelming, and I don't have time to find the qualified person based on 1,000 resumes or 5,000 resumes or however many I have. It's so much easier for me as a decision maker if I need somebody to start asking my colleagues in the industry, to start asking coworkers, people that work for me, people that work with me, who do you know that can fill this position? Because at 8-9% unemployment, everybody knows somebody that's unemployed or looking to move up, looking to move. I've had a record number of people just the last 6 months that I'm working with that are employed, and they're looking to make a move up now because they know that the employment situation is starting to turn around. And so there are a lot of people looking that haven't looked before. This is why people don't publicly post positions. They would rather ask around because it's easier. They can get somebody that they trust because it's a referral, and as long as they know they can do the job and as long as they can fix whatever problem they have and they're a good fit for the company, then let's just hire them and move on and get back to business. They don't want to make it a long, drawn-out process. They really do want to find somebody quickly. It makes sense, makes good business sense. So let's talk about the three segments of the unpublished job market and the 9 things that you can do to tap into the unpublished job market. The 3 segments are growth companies, companies that are growing and doing well. They are creating jobs and not just filling because people are leaving. And that's a really good place to look for jobs because they're creating them. Number 7, or out of the 8, is jobs that require contacts. Who do you know? Now, also, it's being in the right place at the right time. So that's where my clients find a lot of their success. They're proactively contacting the companies that they would want to work for, whether or not they know that they have something available, because they probably won't know. They just want to work there. So it's jobs that require contacts, who do you know, or being at the right place at the right time. And then also the final segment is non-web recruiters. In other words, recruiting firms that don't have a strong internet presence, but that they're more of a contract basis consigned to companies, and they're looking out there for qualified people, but they're not listing things out publicly. So let's get into the 9 ways that you may not have thought of in order to break into the unpublished job market. This is where you really start to take some notes. Okay, first one, use breaking news to connect with leads. Kansas City Business Journal, any business journal really, you can go to bizjournals.com. And for Kansas City, you do /Kansas City. But if you are anywhere else in the country, and I know there's a lot of people who are listening right now that are outside of KC, you can go to bizjournals.com and look at the whole list of different cities that they have. Most decent-sized cities have a business journal. And if you can't find one, then you can look at other business-type journals or business publications within your town or within your city. You're looking for companies that are growing and creating jobs with the business journal. If you are going to invest, and I tell my clients this, if you're going to invest anything extra in your search, spend the $65 it takes to get the business journal online, because it allows you to look back instead of just 5 business days at all of the different news releases. It allows you to look back indefinitely. So you can look back 60 days, maybe even 90 days, to look for good news about a company. Most people believe that if they just look for lists, like the Business Journal has a book of lists, the top 50 companies, under 50 million, and the top 25 employers to work for in the city, things like that. That's where everybody is sending their resume. Really, if you think a little bit outside of the norm, I hate to use the word outside the box. It's trite, and so I don't ever use it. But really, outside of what you normally think of for good news about a company, then you can capture companies' attentions that may be hiring that aren't letting everybody know they're hiring. If there's a news article that says XYZ company is hiring 300 people in Lee Summit, there's going to be 1,000 people sending their resume or more because they see that. But if they say XYZ company is moving to Overland Park from Lee Summit, they don't think of that as good news. However, they may very well be moving because they've outgrown their old warehouse or their own office space. So they have to expand. If there's a new CEO, then you can congratulate them. It's really anything that you can congratulate a company on. If they receive funding, if they receive, let's say, venture capital funding of $30 million, that's a really big deal, even 60 days later. So you can contact them and say, congratulations on receiving the $30 million. I'd love to talk to you about joining your team, right? And you can, other examples, let's see, off the top of my head, maybe they have a large contract with a municipality or a large contract with a customer. Or maybe they said that they've got expansion plans going on in the next 6 months. All of these things are telltale signs of, hey, we're going to start hiring pretty soon. And you also have to keep in mind the average attrition rate, which is how many people are leaving per year, ranges from 10% to 30% depending on the industry. So maybe up to 1/3 of the people, depending on the industry, may be leaving, and they need to find new people. Even at 10%, 1 out of 10 people are going to be gone that year, and they need to to fill for that. But if you can look at growing companies in the Business Journal, there are other places to look at growing companies, but the Business Journal is a really good source for that. I do want to give you a quick example of that. I think it's worth talking about. I had a client by the name of Lily who sent her resume to a wind energy company that just received $40 million in funding. And she was with Sprint. She was in charge of $440 million just as a financial analyst. And Sprint made her, part of the job was that she had to manage that within plus or minus 2%. Well, she sent them a resume because she saw that they got funding. And the wind energy company, the owner actually called her up and said, we've got to get you on board because if you can manage $440 million plus or minus 2%, then you can certainly manage our $40 million. And will you be willing to work contract until we can get you full-time because we don't want somebody else to snatch you up? I mean, it was that quick. She told me she didn't have to do any talking at all. So that's just an example. Number two, let me go over that one, and we'll go through these a little bit quicker here. Number two is contact decision makers at growth firms. I really believe direct mail to employers. I prefer hard copy is the best way to go, but it needs to be personalized. But from a personalization standpoint, you can do that very quickly with a small handwritten note at the side of your resume. And that will allow you to still maintain productivity even though it has a personal touch. I have my unemployed clients send out 40 to 50 resumes a week. And that might kind of be hard to wrap your mind around, but even with my employed clients, I have them send out 20 to 25. But you can usually get out if you've got very much a production mentality, you've got the names and addresses of the companies and the people to send it to, you can get out 3 or 4 an hour pretty easily, and that's from start to finish. So it really doesn't take 60 hours a week in order to get out 40 or 50 a week. You have to do that, though, in this unemployment market, in this job market. It's just way too competitive to just send out 5 a week. So that's really important. So contacting the right people within the right companies that you want to work for, that's a good way to get a response. You can also, and I mentioned this before, you can contact associations who hire professionals or who can put you in contact with key employers. So if you contact what I would consider to be a center of influence, and if you've listened to any of my networking webinars, you'll know that I'm all about trying to find the centers of influence for you. An association director oftentimes is a center of influence if you're trying to get into a specific trade, the association, and the director of that association. You can find that through Google. One of my clients came to me, and this has been a while back, but his name is Dave. He came to me saying, I've been unemployed for 14 months. I don't think you can help me because I am a pipe designer, and there are 6 companies in Kansas City that hire pipe designers, and none of them are hiring, and I don't know what to do. So after writing his resume, when we started his search, I mean, literally within the first hour, we were able to find 35 more companies that he didn't know existed that were here in Kansas City. He's one of my greatest success stories because he started working 10 days after he got his resume. I mean, it was really, really quick. But it was because he found those extra companies. It was because we looked through the associations. Let's find companies that belong to associations, and that's another way to find companies that you may not have heard of. Number 4 is contacting. Now, this is if you are at a higher level. You're looking for a 6-figure position at an executive level. Contact board of directors. Contact board members who can refer you to their CEO. You can also find them through a Google search. Don't be afraid to use the advanced search in Google. And you go to the Google homepage and you click on advanced search. And you can put in the type of board that you're looking for and the location, the city that you're looking for, and you can find some board members' names. Oftentimes those are very publicly known. Okay, number 5, make contact with recruiters who don't publish their jobs. And that's through the list that I mentioned earlier. You can also Google recruiting firm names by industry and location. So going back to, let's say, for instance, agriculture industry recruiters. And sometimes recruiters are really specific. I've got a friend who is a recruiter in the agriculture industry, but she only works with marketing and communications people within the ag industry. I mean, that's really a tiny niche, but she stays really busy because she can work nationwide with that small niche. And then number 6, contact decision makers in larger firms. Again, you can use LinkedIn Advanced Search, and you can set up informational interviews with people within larger firms. Let's say you do want to get into Cerner. Probably the least effective way of getting into a large company is just to send the resume to the HR department. What you can do is contact the sales team. Sales team are willing to talk to you. They love talking to anybody that will listen to them, and if you call them and want to find out more about their company, they will talk your ear off. They're wonderful people to talk to. So set up an informational interview. Don't try to turn it into a job interview, and don't say, hey, can you pass along my resume? But you're finding out more information about the company, and in that you ask them, who should I be talking to? Who should I be talking with? And get that name and that's going to be sending the resume to the person that they give you, that name that they give you. Number 7 out of the 9 is contacting venture capital companies, and another term for that is angel funding firms. So you're doing this to go in kind of through the back door to find companies that are receiving funding, and those companies are growing. They just got money. Oftentimes, venture capital companies will list the companies that they are funding on their homepage, or they have a separate page on their website that gives all the companies that they've recently funded. There's your list right there. But if you contact venture capital companies, then you can actually talk to somebody there and say, hey, I'd like to introduce myself, and I'd love to see if there's any one of these companies that you could put me in contact with or you feel might be a good fit. Venture capital companies usually aren't contacted by job seekers, so it's not like they're inundated with job seekers trying to get into the companies that they funded. And VCs like to oftentimes seed companies that they fund with their own people, especially at a higher level. If you're looking for a C-suite position or if you're looking for a VP, senior VP position, you can go through the VCs or the venture capital companies to try to get your way into the door and talk to the CEO of the companies that they fund. You can, if you'd like, you can email me for a list of the top 200 venture capital companies. I'd be happy to send that to you. Just email me. And my email address, you can reply to any of the emails that I've sent you about this webinar, or you can email me directly at Tammy, Tammy, at beyondjobsearching.com. You can also, if you're in the Kansas City area, you can Google the term Kansas City area venture capital. You kind of have to be careful about that because I have seen there are capital investment companies such as like American Century Investors and some other just banks that you probably wouldn't want to get in front of or wouldn't need to get in front of. Venture capital companies are kind of their own animal, but you can also do angel firms as well in the Google search term.